Hi, and welcome to episode 3 of Sit and Knit for a Bit. I'm your host, Melissa. I'm known as Aurora Evermore on Ravelry. Come say hi and be a friend. Unfortunately I don't get on there very often, but if people start using it as a medium to say hi, then I will try to make a point of going on there and saying hello back. And so today, excuse the lighting, I actually have a lamp laying down in front of me. So I will probably look like some creepy person with weird shadows, but I wanted you to be able to see the yarn pretty well. And it's of course dark outside, and I don't know if this is gonna work, but I might have to record tomorrow when the sun's up, but I couldn't wait. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is the yarn I have picked out for my trip. My trip is actually 4 weeks away, but naturally, as an excited knitter, I've already decided what yarn and projects I will be taking with me. And yeah, 4 weeks out and I'm already done. Like I balled them up and everything. So I'm bringing 3 projects with me. Usually I usually bring at least 2. Where I'm going, there's a lot of walking, and when I'm walking around on this trip, I am knitting on a pair of socks usually. The more time, time that you get to knit, the better. In fact, I probably should be knitting right now. Actually, no, I have to purl. I don't know. Do you think I can knit right now? Hold on. I do have a project. And maybe I'll just talk about that too. As my whip. So there's a lot of walking around, and so I always bring a pair of socks to work on while there. And I have picked out what color I want to bring. I'll go ahead and talk about that one, I guess. Let's see if you can kind of see. That's a little blown out, but not too bad. It is a nice, like, speckled purple with gray, and then it's got actual specks of blues. Actually, that's pretty accurate. I wonder if I know it's not really picking up the detail, but you can at least get the color right. Kind of like that, maybe a little bit darker purple. I'm super excited. So that's gonna be my pair of socks that I'm gonna work on. There actually is little tiny bits of speckles in this, not too much, but just a hint. And I'm hoping to get some of that done while on the trip. So that yarn is Yarn Love, yarnlove.com. And the colorway is Midnight in Paris. It's a 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. 420 yards. I got plenty. Maybe I can make 2 pairs of socks. That is the back for anybody that wants to. Oh, wow, I don't know how to get this thing to focus, huh? I think further away sometimes is better. Anyway, I read it to you, so yeah, I'm super excited. So that's and I always end up putting it in, and I'm kind of sad because this time none of my yarn really matches my project bags. I really like it too. It's not really an OCD thing, but it's just kind of like a little extra thing. But I need practical project bags, and so with the sock I need something that's easy to carry around, and my go-to is this bag, and I could not tell you the names of any of these bags or where I got them from, so I'm sorry, just on Etsy. I've actually been using this a lot, so I actually have a clamp on here because I hike with this, and I'll clamp it to my like water backpack thing, but I love it because it has this big handle, and I'll put it on my arm, and the zipper goes the correct way where it can zip up but leave a little hole for the yarn to come through. And so it ends up being just the perfect little like sock yarn bag. And in fact, it's pretty gross because like I said, I hike with it and stuff, so it's kind of a little gross and sweaty. So I'm gonna stick it in the washing machine before my trip. But it is really pretty. It's got, I guess, they're like cherry blossoms, and I'm not really a pink person, but I do like peach and stuff. This is the inside. It's really pretty and done really well. And I apologize. I just told you it's dirty. And there's no label inside. I couldn't tell you. I've had it for a couple years. And I'm just the worst at that kind of stuff. I know some of you guys are amazing at knowing all these names and stuff. So anyway, speaking of the zipper going the correct way, and not to say anything negative to anybody that's sewing, because to tell you the truth, I absolutely hate sewing. So I'm not trying to critique you, but just kind of this might be something you might want to think about. I love this bag, and I brought it with me on my trip last year. I had my shawl in it last year. I love bees and purple, and it's just amazing. Done really well. The inside is beautiful. It's like purple. Oh, hey, there's a tag. Pink owl stitches. Hey, there we go. But anyway, I love the inside. You know, it's a purple hexagon, just like honeycomb. And it does have a nice loop as well. But if you see, the zipper goes this way. And my brain just tells me that like my chapstick and little pieces will fall out if I'm carrying it like that. And yes, I'm strange. I walk around knitting. So, I mean, this works as a project just to set down somewhere and then zip it open and then pull your project out. But walking around, it scared me. I didn't keep anything small in here. Like I said, the shawl was fine because I used circular needles, and so they were always attached to the yarn, and I didn't leave a big hole. But just, if you're making a project bag and you're gonna put a nice big handle on it, put the zipper going the other way, please. So anyway, I'll show you this project in a minute. So, socks for when I'm walking around, or just, they're pretty basic. And so if it's anything I'm doing, there is like movie night and, random stuff like that. It's hard to explain. And so if it's something that I don't want the pattern in front of me, or don't need to count, or or can't count, then I'll pull out the socks. Now my other main project is going to be a shawl, and I have picked out a pattern. I wanted something simple. Once again, it does have a pattern. I am planning, it's a free pattern on Ravelry. It is called September Crawl Shawl by Margaret Lobb, L-O-B-B. And it's a little pink mostly pink, baby pink, with a couple little speckles, little shawl, it looks small in the picture at least, and I could not tell you how to insert a picture into these videos, so I can't show you. Sorry, I'm lame. But I picked it out and I was like, you know what, maybe this will be pretty good. And so I have decided, once again, I don't really like pink, but when I was driving home tonight, my brain went, I want like it's gonna sound weird, I wanted a sandy blue. And I don't mean that I wanted a tan blue. I meant like a bright blue at the beach, if that makes sense. Like a good blue that would go with a sand color. I know it's what popped in my brain. I ran home. I have plenty of yarn behind me, and so I'm trying not to buy any yarn for a very long time. And I found like the perfect blue, but it was just a solid blue, and I had a feeling that I would just get bored with it. As you can see, most of my stuff okay, you've only seen one thing that represents this, but you'll get to know me and you'll see that a lot of my stuff is like speckled. I love speckled. Variegated, I have the problem where pooling. If it pools weird, it drives me insane. I'm trying to let that go, but one of my first variegated thing, it pooled in a weird way and I didn't like it, and so I've been staying away from that, and like I said, I'm trying to work on that. And I know you can change your gauge and your stitch count and it totally changes the whole thing, so don't get me wrong, I understand. But anyway, I love speckled. Yeah, I fell in love with speckled yarn. So I decided, I'm like, I wanted a light blue speckly yarn, and this is what I chose, and the lighting is just awful. And I apologize so much. I don't want to redo this tomorrow, but I just might. Gosh, I wish I could get it to focus. Light blues and whites with some dark, with some multicolored speckles. And if you look, it is shiny. It has a little bit more shine than the purple. Yes, I've already balled it up. Sorry. You kind of see it, it looks lighter than this in real person. And of course, that's just gonna. I always, or not always, I usually like name my projects, and it's nothing against the name of the yarn or the name of the pattern, but my brain goes, okay, you have the name of the yarn and you have the name of the pattern, but I want a name for the project. Anyway, so I'm going to call this, I should give you the name of this yarn first. What I'm going to call this project is, oh God, I can't remember. It's the Back to the Future dance, the Enchantment of the Sea dance. Oh my God. I thought of like ocean and mermaids, and obviously it's lighter than the actual ocean, but that's what I thought of, which is fine because I wanted a sandy blue. And so this is gonna be my Enchantment Under the Sea shawl. The pattern, once again, is the September Crawl Shawl, and the yarn is by Twisted Owl Fiber Studio, which is actually in my home state. It's the first yarn I've seen from my home state, which is in Lubbock, Texas, which is not close to here, but at least it's in the same state. This is a 2-ply sparkle gold, 75-25, which is 75% merino, looks like 20% nylon, and 5%, oh, stellina, that must be the speckle stuff. 100 grams, when did 100 grams equal out to be 430 yards? I could have sworn it used, anyway. And the colorway is Goblin King. Sorry, it's backwards. So I always post my projects on Ravelry. Probably need to update some of those pretty soon. So I will post patterns and what I'm calling it and the yarn, and I'll probably do that this weekend. So yes, absolutely beautiful. I can't wait. I want to cast it on right now, but I'm not allowed to. I'm so not allowed to, and it makes me sad. But anyway, so there's that. So another thing about me, I'm missing, oh, if you've seen my project, I'm an idiot. It's ready. Okay. Another thing about me being a crazy knitter is you would think that 2 projects would be enough for a trip. Well, it's not, because I highly doubt that I'll finish both of them, the pair of socks and the shawl. The shawl is supposed to take up the entire ball of yarn. I think it's one of those that you just do the increase pattern until you're halfway and then start the decrease. So I'm gonna have to figure out, because I won't be able to weigh it. I'll probably just make it a little bit smaller, just kind of guess and go, I think that's about right. We'll see. I could split the yarn. Maybe I'll do that. Split the, yeah, I'm not gonna take the time to do that. So anyway, 2 projects probably won't be enough. Only because my brain goes, I'm not driving this year, so maybe I'll actually get a lot of knitting done while I am just riding. It is maybe a 20-hour drive, hopefully less than that, just depends. It's 16 to 20. I know that's a big range, but each driver is different every time. You know, sometimes we stop for long periods of time and do some shopping or restaurant or whatever. Sometimes we don't, sometimes we sleep, you know, whatever. And then, but, so not only the fact of I might finish a project or both or whatever, and then I'd be like, oh my God, I have nothing to do. That would just be devastating. And if for some reason the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, okay, it doesn't really need to have the word dance, Enchantment Under the Sea shawl, doesn't work out, let's say the pattern's hard, I can't figure it out, or if it's just not feasible at a campsite, which I've had that happen. I think 2 years ago, I brought a very lacy little shawlette, I guess. I still need to work on that. But it was too complicated for a campsite. I had to have, I kept looking at the pattern, which is fine, but also it's not one of those that you could just easily just put down and pick back up, which you do a lot at the campsite. You know, you're sitting there, you think you're going to relax for a long time, and all of a sudden someone goes, hey, let's go do this. Hey, you know, so you drop your stuff and go. And so anyway, so if this project ends up kind of being like that, or something goes wrong, I have a backup. So the backup, I've decided it's just going to be a shawl. There's not an actual pattern. Triangle shawl made out of, you know, sock weight yarn. I haven't decided if I'm going to do where it starts in the middle top and I think you cast on like 3 and you yarn over twice in the middle, like you have a center stitch that goes down, and then you yarn over on each side the whole time. And you also increase on the ends, and so you end up knitting from top to bottom. And anyway, it's pretty simple. I've done it a couple times and added some extra little flair here and there. I think I've done it twice. I should show you those. Would be good FOs, but I'd have to go get them. Anyway, every 10th row, I added a yarn over, like knit 2 together, knit, yarn over, you know, I just random. And then I did like a little lace pattern at the bottom. I haven't decided if I'm going to do something like that, or which I think the Enchantment Under the Sea shawl, it starts on a corner piece, and and then you increase, get halfway, and then you decrease. I haven't decided which way I want to do the other shawl. And I'm thinking about this one. I actually don't have a shawl on the needles. I might start this one ahead of time. Not really work on it, but just kind of just get a little bit started. I don't know. I want to. But anyway. I chose, it was actually the other yarn I was trying to decide if I wanted to do the socks with, but I was like, you know what, it would really look pretty as a shawl. I have no idea if the lighting's gonna be good. It is a like tannish yellow base with pink and red, almost like, I think of roses, speckles, and then there is some like green speckles, like a stem of a rose. It's very flowery, which once again, anyway, which I know I'm not a pink person, but I don't mind peach, and it looks very earthy to me, and I love nature and stuff like that. And so I think it'd be a very pretty shawl. And I know the coloring's just, it's not quite pulling it up, but I don't think it ever does. And the yarn is called Wild Haven Fiber Company. It's got a picture of a moon. And I guess it's their Sounder sock base is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 100 grams. Oh, this could be a big shawl. It's 463 yards. And it's handwritten little status ST. I'm sorry, I can't even read that. It's horrible. Stitches? Oh my god, I have no idea what it says. But yeah. Okay, that's upside down for you guys. So yes. Oh, I forgot to show you the project bags. So since that one is a backup project, I'm gonna put it in one of my smallest little yarn bags. And it's this one. And it is the Wandering You, I guess Southeast Wisconsin Yarn Crawl in 2018. God, 2018. So 2018, I was on this very trip that I'm talking about. Yes, it's in Wisconsin. And on the way home, I stopped at my very first yarn store in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. And I think that's, oh my God. I was listening to a podcast earlier, or watching, and she mentioned, this girl mentioned it, I think it's Firefly Fibers maybe? Oh gosh, I used to have a stitch marker, but I don't know where the stitch marker is. Anyway, I walked in there, it was just the closest one on the way home, and she goes, oh, are you here for the yarn crawl? And I'm like, what the frick is a yarn crawl? This is my first time ever truly walking into a true yarn store. I've only been buying acrylic up until that point, like at Walmart, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, which is nothing wrong with that. And I was like, I don't know what you're calling, what you're talking about. She goes, oh yeah, this yarn crawl is happening, which apparently is where you go to certain locations and you get little goodies and blah blah blah. Anyway, I was like, no, but okay. So she gave me this bag anyway, for little goodies, for showing up, and that's probably how I got that stitch mark. It's a little wood. Oh my. Anyway, and I think it's like Firefly Fiber Art Studio or something like that. Oh my god. Anyway, so I figure it's a small little bag, it'll work just fine. Plus I'm going back to Wisconsin, so I gotta take it back with me. The one for the main shawl, the Enchantment Under the Sea, I'm gonna have to write that down, is gonna go in, I think it's gonna go in this bag. This bag's a little big for what I want to do, but it's also not too terribly horrible to carry around, and that way I can, if I carry, I can carry my book in there and my notions and other stuff, so I can have it with me. And it is this bag, which I absolutely love. Once again, I'm kind of sad that it doesn't really match. I mean, there is some blue, so yay. Absolutely love the coloring on this. So pretty. But it's got, it's like it's a bucket style, so it's round. And it does have, so you can tell this is my first time doing this. It does have a pocket, which who doesn't love pockets? And it's sectioned off, so you can put like a pen in this one, piece. But the person who whoever you are, I'll look for a tag, did an amazing job to center that flower piece. Thank you so much, because people with OCD, that would drive me nuts. I don't think there is one. People really need to do that. I'm just putting it on my head. But it's a drawstring. And like I said, it does have these nice handles, so it is still decent to carry around. So it won't be too bad. a little bit bigger than I wanted, but once again, if I feel like I need to carry one of the other ones, or my book, or, you know, if I don't want to carry my purse and I want to stick my wallet in this, fine. So I think it'll work just fine. Sorry, I thought I felt the tag, but it was just the drawstring. So yes, there is that. I'm so sorry. Someday I'll get this all situated. Maybe not, because this is who I am. So I guess I should talk about what I'm working on. So those are my queued up projects for my trip. And then this is my whip. It is a sock. I knit a lot of socks. And maybe this weekend, or just whenever I feel like it, I am going to do a podcast, an episode of just my socks. Maybe not all of them, but I just want to talk about my socks. I do a lot of them, so why not talk about them? So anyway, so this is my current sock. I am literally almost finished with it. I already have the other one, and I wasn't planning on doing this, so I don't have it with me. It is like a dark, once again, a little speckled. It is like a dark jean blue with multi-speckled colors. If you watch Star Trek Discovery, this reminds me of their uniforms. So this would be my Discovery socks if I was going to name them. I kind of stopped naming my socks unless they were interesting, like a more elaborate sock. This is literally just like my own vanilla sock. There's no intricate pattern or anything like that. I actually kind of stopped doing intricate patterns because I do wear my socks, but not a lot of people see them. I barely see them, and to take the time to make something really pretty as a sock, I'd rather do something pretty with a shawl or something like that. But anyway, to each his own. Let me see if I have, ooh, I don't know if I have the band. The yarn band. Oh, I kind of stuffed 2 projects in here at once. I do not. Give me a second. Maybe I have it over here. I saw one on the ground. It's not it. Yay! There is no telling where it is. I usually keep it with. That's why I'm kind of sad I don't have it. I don't know. I'm sorry. Maybe it didn't come with one. I got a lot of yarn, like I said in my last podcast, I got a lot of yarn for like $3 each, and a lot of them didn't have ball bands. So maybe because I'm like, man, I always keep it with them. So maybe that's what happened here. And I don't know, I started these a couple months ago. The other one I have in here, so I'm almost finished with this pair, and I still have 4 weeks left before I go on my trip, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh my God, I gotta start another pair of socks. Well, I was looking down at project bags and realized there's a pair of socks I haven't touched in years. And it's because I didn't really like the yarn. The yarn's kind of thick for normal socks, in my opinion. But I was like, and today I was actually thinking about it. I was like, but it'd be nice to have them as more like slippers, I know, anyway, or slipper socks. A little bit thicker when it's really cold. I'm sorry, I have yarn fuzz on my nose. Anyway, and I was like, I really need to finish this pair of socks. I haven't touched it in years. And in fact, I'm at the cuff. Like, I'm almost done with this first sock. Here is, yes, the it's variegated. And this pooling didn't bother me too much. In fact, it actually kind of looked pretty cool. So I was okay with that. Do I still like speckled better? Yes, I love speckled, but there's only so much speckled yarn you can buy. And actually, this was a couple years ago, or a few years ago, I had Knit Crate, that subscription. I had it for a few months and got a few good stuff, but a lot of stuff I actually really didn't like. So I was like, no, I'm paying like $40 a month for something I don't really like. I'd rather go out and, I mean, it was kind of cool to having a surprise, but literally, I think I had it for like 6 months or more, maybe even almost a year. And this and one other yarn I actually liked. Everything else I didn't like. So, call me picky. Oh, I want to show you my stitch marker. I need to pick out stitch markers. I love picking out stitch markers. I actually make my own. I used to bead. Right before I became a knitter, I used to bead. And so I don't bead anymore except to make my own stitch markers. But I don't even have a cup of tea with me. I'm so unprepared for this. I love tea. And so I found these little stitch markers. It's a saucer and a teacup. There, it's kind of standing up. The only problem with this is they're kind of noisy. So if you're in a quiet area and you're just knitting along and it's like clanking and jingling against it, it can be a little annoying. Oh, I do have the ball band for this, and as things get tangled. So I'm going to finish these, or I'm planning on finishing these before, okay, maybe not before, but at least I'm going to work on them up until my trip, as opposed to starting a whole new pair of socks. So once again, it's Knit Crate, and I don't even know if they make them anymore. Oh, sorry, it's Knitology by Knit Crate. Knitology, okay, yeah, I read it a little bit better here. Knitology Sheen, colorway Titmouse. Oh, I love titmouses. 75% merino wool, 15% silk, and 10% cashmere. It says it's fingering weight, but like I said, and it is soft. Like I said, it's just a little bit thicker. Just a hair bit thicker than other sock yarn. I doubt you can tell. The top one is the thicker one, the Knit Crate. I don't know, it just seems a little thicker to me. Oh, it's the same, it's the right size needle. I don't know. This is what happens when you put 2 projects in one bag. Not a good idea. But it's a temporary thing. So anyway, yes. I hope I haven't been saying too much. Stitch markers. I have a thing coming. I'm so excited. Found it on Etsy. Maybe when it comes I'll post about it, and hopefully maybe there'll be a receipt, so there'll be a name I can show you. But I love bees. Actually, I only have one thing with bees on it, but my first tattoo is a bee. And if you know me, you'll know I love bees. So bees and knitting and tea, like, oh my god, you can't get the best. You know, you can't get any better than that. So, oh, I found it on Etsy, so was not trying to shop. Trying not to spend any money before my trip. But it's a little stitch marker. I think it's gonna be about this big. So it's a little bit of a big stitch marker, but it's fine. It's made out of metal, probably, I'm pretty sure it is. So it's gonna be a little heavy. So I'm gonna try to make sure I fasten it on several stitches, or at least maybe the knitting needle itself, whatever. But it has a bee on it and like some flowers, but on the side is a dial. It's a row counter. I can't wait. So it's probably gonna go on my Enchantment Under the Sea shawl, because I think I'm gonna have to keep track of the rows on this project, where the sock and the backup shawl, yeah, we call it backup shawl, does not, at least at this point. I might need to if I end up deciding to add in those like eyelet rows, there we go. But if that happens, I'll be done with this, or I'll find a different way to do it. I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait to get it. So when I get it, I will show it to you. I will so show it to you. She had a couple of different styles, and you know, There was one, it was like a teacup, and it was, like I said, there was a couple different styles, but I saw that bee and I was like, I get it. Oh. Okay, I don't have any I need to start bringing some finished objects for you to look at. I have nothing. I'm trying to think if I can just grab something from in here, but there isn't anything in here. I don't have anything. What else can I talk about? We're at 35 minutes. I've been doing pretty well. Well, I guess I will let you go then. I'll get to knitting and I'll pick out some stitch markers for these beautiful projects and package them up and get them ready for my trip. So I will see you guys next time, and happy knitting.